Those drums get the people going. Welcome to Beerfield Fantasy Football. I am your host at Hot BFF with two P's. As always, joined by my wonderful, distinguished, wearing the same shirt as me, I think, co-host at 3BFF.
I love it. Yes, I am wearing the Midwestern Expo shirt along with the Beerfield Fantasy Football hat. Glad to be here.
Are you?
No. Yes. Wait a minute. Why would I lie? Of course I'm glad to be here.
We're always happy to be here. Yep. We got Twitter, Instagram, Untapped at BeerfieldFF, Beerfield Fantasy Football on YouTube for this episode and all of our episodes. Interact with us live during the season. Bonus episodes on Sundays for all of your start-sit needs. We are going to change up the scheduling next week as we officially will make our shift to our regular season scheduling. So there will still be a Monday episode, but it will be a Monday night episode and Wednesday nights. And that's the pattern we're going to be following throughout the season. Monday we'll do all of our recap and our waiver content. And Wednesday we will do all of our start-sit content, DFS picks. Figure to do some prop bet picks maybe this year. A little bit more streamlined, but the same content to help you win your league. So be sure to tune in for that. So just an editor's note, there will still be a Monday episode next week, but it will be a Monday night, not Monday morning. So be looking for that then. We have merch. Dan's wearing the hat. I think we still have one of those left. We also have t-shirts for sale. DM us, email us for that. A note on the listener league that I want to throw out there. So we appreciate everybody's interest and everybody that submitted requests to be put in that drawing. We've come to the somewhat tough decision, because we love interacting with you guys and everything, to not continue forward with that this year. And that is strictly a this year thing, and that's just with new format, transitions, Dan's work schedule, my work schedule. It was just going to be more of a time commitment to get that set up and to get it drawn and to get everybody drafting and everything than what we were going to be able to contribute this year. We made the decision to continue to focus on our content more so than on getting that off the ground. So it wasn't something easy, because we've done it the last 3 years and it's been a ton of fun, but it's something we felt like was necessary for this season.
Yeah, we're going to probably bring it back for next season after we enter year 2 of just Dan and Chris. It's been a tough year for us getting adjusted with Nick stepping down. So it's not that we don't want to do this, and we love, as Chris just said, that we love interacting with you guys. We love talking shit. Right now we're just going to be focused on getting you guys those championships, bringing home those Beerfield beautiful championships so you guys can brag about it on Twitter and make us feel special inside.
Yep. All right, on to the show. We've got a ton of news to talk about, as I'm sure most of you are aware of. There's some very, very big news that we got to get to. That will be at the end of the news segment, though, because we don't reformat even for Andrew Luck. But there's some injury news and a lot of waves that we got to kind of digest and help you guys wade your way through. And then we're going to do a mock draft just to get you ready for your fantasy football drafts. Nice little easy on Fantasy Pros. Dan and I are going to draft one team. That way you can hear us debate kind of back and forth on players and really what we're thinking in our own heads. You can get through that. It's an exercise we've done the last couple of years. So we're excited for that. Before we get to it, though, what's fueling Beerfield today?
What's fueling Beerfield?
What is fueling Dan this evening?
Dan is starting off the Oktoberfest season with Buckle Downs Oktoberfest out of Lyons, Illinois. I'm going to be doing 3 or 4 Oktoberfests as we go along. It's not a style that I particularly like, but it is a style I want to get a little bit more comfortable with and get a little more familiar with. So you guys will hear my thoughts later on in the show.
All right, and I am drinking Juicy Banger IPA from Station 26 Brewing out of Denver, Colorado.
That's a great name, by the way.
It is a really good name. So we will let you know what we think when we get before we get into the mock draft. This is brewed with Centennial, Citra, and Mosaic hops.
Right.
All right. It's time. There's a lot of it. Let's get into this bear of a news segment.
News.
Starting it off with some sad news, not really relevant to today's NFL, but former Bears running and Bengals running back Cedric Benson passed away at the age of 36 due to injuries suffered in a motorcycle accident. Me personally, being a Bears fan, getting to see the NFC Championship run and then playing a Super Bowl, Cedric Benson was a big part of that. He also kind of had a career resurgence in Cincinnati where he became a value of a fantasy football pick. So rest in peace to him.
Yeah, he had 3 straight seasons. Pretty much when he was in Cincinnati with over 1,000 yards, 6-7 touchdowns apiece. He was someone that I generally owned in a lot of my fantasy rosters. Obviously rooted against him a little bit being a Vikings fan, but it's always tough to see someone pass away so soon.
That early.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. Keeping it with equally sad news, Case Keenum has been named the Redskins starting quarterback to open the season. He beat out Dwayne Haskins for that job. Colt McCoy still not able to make it back from injury. That does not really behoove anybody on that offense. I mean, it doesn't move the needle for me at all.
No, it's still a really bad roster outside of Geist. If Jordan Reed can get healthy, that'd be great. But this is still an offense that I'm not investing in.
Yep. In interesting dynasty news, Dolphins signed wide receiver, punt returner, and kick returner Jakeem Grant to a 4-year extension through 2023. He's still working his way back from lower leg surgery, but that does appear to be good news about the leg. They're apparently shopping Kenny Stills is another report that I saw, which Jakeem Grant is kind of that Stills type of deep threat player. So just notable, more so for dynasty and best ball, though.
God, he's tiny.
Yeah.
5'6", 165.
Yep. Cowboys offered Zeke Elliott a contract to make him one of the NFL's 2 highest paid running backs. Zeke responded to that by returning to Cabo to continue his holdout. So
I feel like this should be in the LOL news,
it should
but
be.
there's
it's
other
so
ones in
relevant though.
good.
It's so hard.
Yeah,
Jesus. They want to have something done before the season. They made the offer, which is still more progress than Melvin Gordon's made with the Chargers, but I don't think this is done by week 1. Because he's going to want to be the highest paid back, and I don't think they'll do that.
It's just odd because, granted, his play warrants to be paid like the top guy in the NFL. Joe Thomas put a tweet out saying that if you're one of the best of your position, it's kind of customary to be, when you get your first contract extension, you should be 15-20% above the highest paid.
You're the next highest guy. It's been next man up pretty much everywhere.
Next highest guy up. Exactly. But just given Zeke's off the field issues, it seems like every year there's something new. I don't know if you want to invest, into a player who's one more strike away from being almost kicked out of the league.
And he's definitely in that tier, but is he the best running back in the league? I mean, maybe with Gurley's knee injury considered, yeah, but without that, I think 2 is probably fair. Looking at it from a pure productivity standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. Like you would always take Barkley over Zeke, just because of age, but talent alone, Barkley is going to be one of the best we've ever seen, more than likely. It's just we've seen quarterbacks and receivers. It just kind of gets the next bump up. We figured Zeke would have reset the market,
right,
after Gurley signing.
Yeah. Although running backs are more and more being devalued by teams, it would seem.
Yep.
And then Miami still has yet to name a starting quarterback for week 1. That's more interesting to me because it's kind of been assumed that Rosen was behind Fitzpatrick, but apparently not really.
Yeah, it seems like maybe Miami's trying to figure out if they want to just completely tank this season and just start Rosen week 1. Because if Fitz plays, he's going to win you games he shouldn't. They should not be winning.
Well, and people have been calling for that too. You got to see what you have in Josh Rosen. So stick him out there. And I agree with that completely. You know what Ryan Fitzpatrick is. So
exactly. Yep. I completely agree.
All right. Bears waived kicker Elliott Fry, which means Eddie Pinheiro has won that kicking job. He celebrated by nailing a 57-yarder in Saturday's preseason win over the Colts. Fry was later signed by the Ravens for a 1-week tryout. So, Eddie Pinheiro kicking for the Bears. Take that for what you will. He did not lose his job in Oakland due to performance issues. He was hurt last season. So if you're looking for a flyer of a kicker in the last round of your fantasy draft, offense should be good enough.
Yeah.
Falcons have signed kicker Blair Walsh to come in and compete with Giorgio Tavecchio. I'm not sure if this is a competition to see who can make or miss more field goals, but he's there.
I mean, there's upside. If you want to talk about kicker upside, and kicking in a dome at least 8 games out of the year. So
there's always been upside to Blair Walsh, and it's just never happened.
It's always just to the left of him.
Yeah. Patriots released wide receiver Dontrell Inman. The Titans activated Johnny Smith from the active PUP list. That means they'll have their top 2 tight ends come week 1.
I like that.
Delaney Walker's still it, but if for some reason he
sure.
fades or is not, Johnny's relevant. That's just good news that he's back, I guess.
Yeah.
I put this next one in the entirely wrong spot. So I'm gonna move that real quick. That should have been down here in the Kool-Aid segment. I'm just gonna pretend that.
I love how the next note could have just been combined with the note previous to this one.
It could have, but because of the way I do this, just going backwards through Roto World, sometimes I miss things. The Chargers just signed wide receiver Dontrell Inman. He returns to a place where he's got rapport with the quarterback. They don't really have a whole lot between Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, so it's notable.
Yeah.
Lions signed wide receiver Jordan Lastly. It's his 3rd team this offseason. Actually, his 3rd team in 3 weeks.
Who is he with between Baltimore and Detroit?
Oakland.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shows how much I care about Jordan Lastly.
He spent a week there.
Yeah. I'm surprised. He seemed to fit right in.
Yeah. Cardinals have released wide receiver Kevin White. So they
sad what happened with him.
Yep. They did sign Michael Crabtree to a 1-year deal, who was famously in an air raid offense in college. So he knows the offense. He should come in and I would think at least have the chance to contribute some. I mean, kind of didn't really work out too well in Baltimore though for him.
I mean, it depends. Like, is he going to replace Keyshawn Johnson outside? I mean, Keyshawn was having such a good offseason and training camp. I can't imagine he's just, he's going to come in and play right away. He's got to know the offense. I mean, like, he may know the air raid offense, but he still has to kind of, get caught back up. Just given within this offense. It's been 10 years since he's played in an air raid offense.
Yeah, something like that. It's been a while, but I mean, once, I guess.
Sure.
So,
I'm not running out
maybe,
there.
I don't know. Maybe it's like riding a bike. I've never studied an air raid offense, so I have no idea.
That's right. We're not versed in playing an air raid offenses. So
right. The Cardinals have signed Michael Crabtree to. I just read that. Raiders released the running back Doug Martin.
I mean, this is new, just given what we're about to talk about here. In about 2 seconds. So.
Yeah, he becomes viable for at least one spot, and probably anybody else that needs a veteran backup. So,
yeah.
The Patriots released wide receiver Maurice Harris, proving why preseason hype is only preseason hype, because he was the next big thing at the beginning of the preseason.
Yeah, like I guess he was dealing with some leg injuries that kind of just knocked him down. I mean, he was already in an uphill battle to begin with. So,
yep. All right, in injury news, Lamar Millers suffered a torn ACL in Saturday's preseason game. He's going to miss the 2019 season. Duke Johnson's ADP subsequently just flew through the roof someplace.
As it should. I mean, we're going to now finally see if Duke Johnson can handle a full workload. He's got the size to do it. He's got the skill set to do it. So I guess we'll see if the people that have held on to him for this long gets...
Until the Texans trade for Melvin Gordon tomorrow. No, it should be Duke Johnson's job. Doug Martin would make sense as a veteran backup to come in here, and I do think that they do something because they didn't really have anything after cutting Deonta Foreman behind Lamar Miller, so they're going to add something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just a bunch of undrafted free agents.
It is.
Like, it's nothing. I mean, like, they have to bring somebody in. Maybe Carlos Hyde, if he gets cut, then Kansas City could be another candidate for that spot.
Yep, just a bunch of guys. Josh Gordon has been activated from the active non-football injury list.
And again, his ADP is flowing off the roofs. Again, giving you another chance to sell him.
Yep.
In Dynasty Leagues.
Yep. Sell.
Yeah, sell.
Did I forget to delete this? I think I did. Bengals rookie tackle and number 1 pick Jonah Williams is likely to miss the 2019 season after surgery. I feel like that was weeks ago.
Yeah, same here.
How do I?
Okay. We try to not do.
Yeah.
I guess on-air production meetings, but
I think that was a while. I think I did really bad with notes this week. DK Metcalf underwent a knee scope, which revealed, quote, little damage. He's expected to be active and doing stuff this week, per Pete Carroll. That is a quote, not... That's not me paraphrasing. That is a quote from Pete Carroll. Active and doing stuff.
Doing stuff. Like, Jesus, can you be more vague? He's going to do stuff today. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to do something.
There's a thought he could be ready by week 1. So...
Which is good because David Moore looks to, I think, miss some time too there, and it's just a bunch of other rookies behind these guys.
Jerron Brown is the two right now.
Dash Ferguson and all sorts of names.
Yep. Derrick Henry has resumed practicing, so he should clearly be the top back in that offense finally this season.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I want to see Jeremy McNichols run away with that job, it's not going to happen.
Well, at least you know his name now.
Some days.
Colts have signed running back Kendrick West to a contract. Deonta Foreman was placed on IR with a torn biceps and a corresponding move. And then later released. So Foreman out, Charizard West in.
Yeah, and it looks like Foreman is also made it through waivers. So
yeah, well, torn bicep. That's not surprising.
No, geez, no.
Darius Guice saw his first preseason action. That signals that he's going to be good to go to open the season. He's still a value in drafts, though.
Yeah, he looked. I'm surprised too because he made some plays. Just given, I think he made 3 runs, and I'm sitting there yelling at the TV, just to get him out of the game because God forbid he gets hurt again.
Yep. Speaking of people ready to go for this season, Emmanuel Sanders returned to game action, signaling he's good to go to start the season. He, quote, felt great afterwards, so he's going to be full go for week 1.
Perfect.
He is the best receiver in Denver for whatever that's worth. He's worth a, kind of that 7th or 8th round when things start to get ugly. He's worth a flyer there.
Yeah.
A lot of Florida, Emmanuel Sanders most of the time. Titans activated kicker Ryan Suckup from the active pup list, so feel free to draft him as your heart desires. Patriots wide receiver Julian Edelman's been activated from the NFI list, and Demaryius Thomas was activated from the active pup list.
That's insane for Thomas too, because he had a late season Achilles tear. So
yep, and it's the second one. So it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be ready to go for week 1, but it does mean he won't start the season on IR.
I can't imagine that he's going to be much of anything, though.
I can't either. He's at least the 5.
I mean, that's insane. Like, if he comes back full health, sure, but I can't. I'm still not drafting him anywhere.
No, I'm not either. Bengals expect wide receiver John Ross to be ready for week 1. He did return to practice. Speaking of people I'm not drafting.
Yeah, right.
Noah Fant's dealing with a mild ankle sprain, which basically means it's not a high ankle sprain. He did appear to be firmly behind Jeff Hireman, though.
Not yet. Not yet, Fant. Not yet.
Yeah. Kenyon Drake has shut his walking boot and resumed jogging, but still not fully returned to practice.
His job's not in jeopardy when he comes back.
No.
I mean, as much as I want to preach Balaj upside, he's pretty bad at football.
Yeah. George Kittle returned to practice Wednesday. He was dealing with a calf injury, so good for him. Kiki Kuti is still sidelined from practice with an ankle injury.
Well, they need him because as soon as he comes back, Will Fuller will probably get hurt.
Yep. Broncos quarterback Drew Lock could begin the season on IR with a severely sprained thumb.
Jesus.
So Flacco's job isn't in jeopardy. Not that it was to begin with. Cam Newton suffered a foot injury in the Panthers preseason game against the Patriots. Was later seen in a walking boot. That is not expected to be serious, though.
Yeah, that was just precautionary.
Yeah.
Newton should be fine to start the year.
Yep. Speaking of people that are not going to be fine, Jordan Reed was forced from Thursday's preseason game with a concussion. This is a 7th documented concussion. Pretty sure that's league leading.
Just retire.
Yeah.
As much as we love you, as much as we love your value, retire.
That's got to be more than Ryan Griffin's had.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is tough, but I mean, it had been a few years, I think, since the last one. But man, that is a lot of damage to your brain.
Yeah, just retire and get healthy.
As much as we want Jordan Reed to be a thing, you just can't keep doing that to yourself.
God, no.
Equanimous St. Brown was carted off the field suffering a helmet-to-knee hit in the Packers preseason game. He's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Puts Jake Kumaro in that 4 spot firmly.
I wonder if they'll just cut ESP at this point.
They probably should.
Yeah.
Be sure to tune in next Monday to find out.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Jaguars wide receiver DJ Chark suffered a concussion in Thursday's preseason game. His first concussion, not preseason game.
Yeah.
First that I'm aware of.
Yeah, exactly.
Seahawks wide receiver David Moore injured his shoulder at a Seahawks practice and is expected to be out, quote, a while. This one's
touched on this one.
Yeah, this one's more concerning to me. So Mark Cooper's injury, and I was just reading through the notes here, it's been termed something other than plantar fasciitis, which I don't remember what they termed it. It was something else complicated that nobody could explain the difference between the two.
Sure.
It is now being described as more of a muscle strain by a VP Stephen Jones, which is the way that Ian Rappaport initially described it. So when you got multiple diagnoses for something flying around, that tells me they don't really know what's going on with his foot, even though it's bothering him.
Yeah, it just
That's concerning.
There's no real notes on whether or not he's going to miss week 1. It's something that we're going to have to keep monitoring, adjust your weekly rankings accordingly.
I have a fear that this is going to drag on throughout the season.
Yeah, especially if he just, tries to play on it early on and re-aggravates it or does something worse. This is good. Like, if we're going to talk, beyond Cooper, this could lead to more things for Gallup. We saw Gallup struggle. It's number 1 last year, but hopefully year 2, more rapport with Dak in this offense. And then with the new OC and Kellen Moore, he can step up. But this puts Cobb and Gallup on the radar as upside plays.
It does. Robert Foster's been battling a toe injury this offseason, which who knows how much that's actually hindered him. And Hakeem Butler has been placed on IR, ending his season.
Oof.
And now, there was one retirement. Colts quarterback Andrew Luck, surprisingly at the age of 29, has decided to hang it up, stating that his love for the game is gone. And before we get into the fantasy implications, there is something that I need to say. And Dan, I know, agrees with me on this, but if you are trashing Andrew Luck right now, you are trash. You have not spent 6 years rehabbing. Rehabbing the last 4, I guess. You haven't dealt with the torn cartilage, the ruptured kidneys, the concussion, the torn labrum, and now the ankle injury trying to get healthy and giving your body to a game. He's made enough money, which seems selfish, but, he's got a wife and a newborn and a family to concern himself with. And, if you're in pain every day from what you're doing and you have the means to not let yourself continue to be miserable and to change the fact that you no longer love what you're doing, every human deserves the right to do something that they love. And if you don't love it anymore, you deserve the right to change it. And Andrew Luck deserves the right to retire and deserves the right to be respected by Colts fans for what he did give to that team. Now, did he probably have another 8 to 10 years left in his career? I mean, maybe. Nobody really knows how much the injuries would have taken its toll on him. But ultimately, Ryan Grigson's inability to put together an O-line to protect him, wore down on him. And the constant injuries wore down on him. And I just don't think that there's any place to trash Andrew Luck here.
Yeah, like if you went out, like if you're a fan that booed him, first off, fuck you. Like, if you're any fans out there that disagree with us saying that he has that right to, go ahead and turn it off. I hate to have to lose fans, but if you feel like this is too much for you to see your player leave the game, even though he had every right.
Hold on, Dan.
But the guy that actually told them, the guy that actually leaked this out, because Luck wanted to do this on Sunday, wanted to do this today. So it like for him is he had to move everything up. It was very heartfelt. Everyone was shocked by it, obviously. I just hope he gets better. I don't think this is the last time we'll see him. I'm not sure if he'll play again, but I think just given his personality, given his knowledge, just given his his NFL IQ, I think there's a chance for him to regain that love again and then find himself maybe doing commentary with some booth work or being a coach at some point down the line.
Yep, I think there's a place for Andrew Luck in the game, especially in the booth. And like you said, just whoever leaked it and forced it to go early, that was shitty on their part. Good job. I mean, Schefter, you can't blame Schefter for it because he reported it, but he's got to do that. That's his job. If it's leaked to him, he's got to put it out there. He's got to be first. That's what he's paid to do.
Yeah.
But whoever leaked it and forced all that to move up and forced the awkward situation with Luck on the sidelines, the shitty move on their part. Now, as far as the fantasy implications go, Jacoby Brissett initially is going to be the starting QB. Now, there's been a lot of yelling on Twitter, from myself included, to run to the waiver wire and get Chad Kelly, and I'm going to stand by that. I think Chad Kelly is a more Andrew Luck style prototypical QB that has the ability to move the pocket and pick up yards on the ground, but also the ability to stand in the pocket and pass, which is something we haven't seen from Brissett, to where if he gets the shot, I think that he could latch onto it. Now, it'll take an injury or ineffectiveness from Brissett for that to happen. So looking at the current starter, Jacoby Brissett, you got to fade everybody. T.Y. Hilton's now a wide receiver 2 with, yes, upside, but he was outside of the top 36 when Jacoby Brissett was his quarterback last go. Better team around him, better offensive line, better defense, sure. T.Y. Hilton gets faded here. Deion Kane, who I've been preaching up, gets faded here. Nyheim Hines faded a little bit, I guess. I think that's Nyheim Hines might actually go up, honestly. Just because safer passes to the running backs, and I think that it actually helps Marlon Mack, because I think this is going to be a run-first team now.
Yeah, I mean, this is different because the Colts traded for Brissett in 2017 when they felt really unsure of Luck and his shoulder injury. He came in late. I think it was late in the preseason too when he got drafted, so he had no chance. I mean, the team was garbage at that point. Mm-hmm. It was all Luck and Ty and then very little. They've done a masterful job the last 2 years, kind of propping this team up. Top 5 offensive line, likely even a top half defense. Great receiving core if they can get a healthy Paris Campbell. You have 2 great tight ends in Doyle and Ebron, and Brissett's now 2 years into this offense, at least with the teammates that he's been on. I know Wright came over last year, but quick passes from that offense, within this Frank Wright system could help. I agree with you 100% on that Marlon Mack. You got to slightly fade him because the offense as a whole takes a ding. They won't score as many points with Brissett, than they would with Luck. So touchdown opportunity goes on a little bit, but Mack was a pass catching back too in college. He just hadn't been asked to do that job yet in the NFL. He was also very young when he was drafted, so he had to grow into his own and become the 3-down back that they wanted him to be. Also, Brissett's been the number 1 guy all offseason. It hasn't been Luck. Luck hasn't practiced at all. And T.Y. came out and said he's had the best off season that he's had, during his career. And that's been with Brissett. So, yes, I agree. You have to fade him, but I think you can get even a value with him.
I don't think you hard fade him. I think other people might be hard fading him, but I don't think you hard fade him. I think he's my 13 now, and I think that I probably move him to 17 or 18, which is not, it's down a tier. That's basically it. It's down a tier. You don't hard fade him, and I don't, and that offensive line is good.
Oh, yeah.
So even though Mack loses touchdowns, I think he might make it up in opportunity share.
That's very true. I mean, like we saw it. So someone pointed out, I want to say it was Evan Silva, maybe said it, or he retweeted something that said it, but Marlon Mack's routes run completely flipped with Nyheim Hines towards the end of the season, suggesting that they were getting prepared to use Mack as a 3-down back for this season.
As he should be.
Exactly. So you can fade Mack all you want if you want to, if you see something different. Just don't look at the 2017 stats to justify it, because this is a completely different team.
Right. And I don't think that you fade Marlon Mack. I really don't. Mack is going to stay right where he is for me at the back end of the RB1s, especially now that Melvin Gordon and Zeke aren't up there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start moving Zeke down just because of how late into the process. I moved him. I think he may move slightly. That offensive touchdown upside is what hurts it, but again, you can't predict touchdowns anyways. It's more of a let's see what happens.
And
I trust Brissett.
Who knows? A better line if Brissett can move the ball, even if it's with his legs.
He's also more mobile than what Luck was too.
Exactly.
So they also help.
I guess to wrap it up and put a bow on it, the impact of the Colts is, yes, you are going to have to fade them, but no, it's not as hard of a fade as a lot of people want to make it out to be.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah. All right. I don't have anything else on the Luck situation. It's a dead horse that's been beat to death on Twitter. Just to sum it up, you fade T.Y. Hilton. Don't fade him hard. Devin Funchess now I think is firmly behind Dante Moncrief and kind of that, hey, I'm in a high-powered offense.
Yeah, it's not high-powered.
Throw spot. Marlon Mack, Nyheim Hines, I think that they're probably about fine where they're at. And go pick up Chad Kelly. Brissett's going to be owned. Go get Chad Kelly. He's not going to be owned anywhere. If you're in a dynasty league or a super flex league, put Chad Kelly on your roster. He will probably play at some point this season.
He'll have his opportunity. I heard him a little bit that this is two very good classes coming up for QBs, but we like Chad Kelly. It's just he needs to be smart.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Kool-Aid.
Yes.
Are we drinking the Kool-Aid?
All right, Ben Volen of the Boston Globe reports the Titans starting quarterback job is, quote, wide open, claiming Mariota has done nothing to assert himself, and some coaches within the organization prefer Ryan Tannehill. This is the first I've heard of a quarterback controversy in Tennessee.
Right?
We all kind of assumed that was going to be the case, but it hasn't come up in preseason. The fact that it's one random reporter from the Boston Globe tells me this might be much ado about nothing, but I do and even projected it that Tannehill at some point starts.
Yeah, I mean, like, whether it's injury or just, piss poor play, and like, this is the first time we've seen this, or, the first time we've heard about it. And in week 3 at this point, most of the games have been played, if not all of them have been played. Normally you would have your QB job kind of known at this point. So I'm not buying it or I'm not drinking this to the fact that I think you're going to not see Mariota, in week 1. But this is something that you have to kind of know when you're drafted. Mariota wasn't a guy that people were drafted in redraft leagues anyways. But I think you should start picking up Tannehill in all your super flex leagues, just in case if this move does happen.
And if it does, then the impacts on it, obviously, I think that there's still a run-first team given those coordinators. I do think it is a bit better for the passing game, though. Maybe not so much Delaney Walker, but for the wide receivers, so Corey Davis and whoever else is around him, Adam Humphries and whoever the 2 is there.
And it might bump up Humphries even more so. We've seen Tannehill prefer Landry. Now, given Landry was his best receiver and it was his slot receiver, it's more of a, if it happens, let's wait a week, see what happens, and then adjust accordingly if we need to.
Yep. All right, switching gears to San Francisco. Dante Pettis and Marquise Goodwin played all 11 snaps with the 49ers starters. I didn't know how else to put this in here, but people seem to forget that Marquise Goodwin's a starter on this team. With Deebo Samuel coming in, the Trent Taylor hype, all the rookies that everybody likes showing up here, people got or took for granted that Marquise Goodwin is going to be a starter here and has performed when he's been healthy. He's going almost free. Do you buy that he's worthy of being drafted as a flyer?
Yeah, because to either kind of, I guess, pour some more water on Pettis, he played into late in the third quarter, and there's also reported that Shannon still wants him to play for his role.
Which is weird because he's been playing and it was called out on Roto World that it was weird because he's been playing as a wide receiver 1 all preseason.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to decipher this. Like, there's a bunch of 2s on this team. I don't think there's a 1.
I agree.
Team. Not now.
I didn't even project Pettis as a 1 coming out of college, and I love Dante Pettis coming out of college. I always thought he was a deep threat or over the middle complementary piece, but didn't have the talent to be a 1.
Yeah, there's a lot of the same style receivers. Goodwin was productive. He's been productive when healthy. He may be considered more boom bust, but big play alone, the guy just won $1 million as the fastest player in the NFL. So he's gonna have his own style of role. I'm not trusting the receiving core. But I am buying, or I guess drinking, the fact that Goodwin is a starter. I mean, obviously we've seen that, but I think this could be more, of a rotation if guys like Pettis can't perform well early on, to give him hope that he gets that role, or to give him that spot himself, because if other guys play well, he may lose that spot early on, and then who the fuck knows after that.
Right. All right. The Athletics, Vincent. Yeah, we're just going to go with Vincent. Bozignore expects 9 to 12 touches per game for Darrell Henderson. And this is what I feel like this is right. This is what Philip Lindsay was getting at the beginning of last year. This is what we've seen Austin Eckler produce with. This is the change of pace role with the person that has the explosiveness to be productive with that role.
I mean, Sean McVay said it himself. He wants Darrell Henderson to kind of be like that Kamara role. Every team since the Saints drafted Kamara wants to find their hyper efficient running back that can be involved in both the passing game and the running game. We said it all offseason. This should not affect Todd Gurley. We already knew Todd Gurley's touches were going to be reduced. Darrell Henderson was his own value, right beside him. You can't move him up because I've been expecting 9 to 10 touches a game almost all offseason for him. It just kind of fits what he does best, behind a very good offensive line and a very good offense.
Yep. No, I agree with that. All right, this is more of a told you so minute. Jay Glazer reports Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp timed better in every athletic test post ACL tear than he did before the injury. Speed, agility, and in and out of his breaks.
I mean,
he is a full go in practice now, by the way.
It is. This is the first massively positive note that we've gotten. I have moved Kupp up. I've been waiting for news on this, good or bad. I mean, obviously, him being active off of the PUP list was great, but a lot of guys coming off of their ACL tears the following season don't start on it unless it's a late season one. For Kupp, it's shocking because he tore his midseason last year. I hope that there's no setback, but I've moved him up because there's been absolutely no negative news. I fought you on this because of what we've seen from past, but maybe Kupp's the outlier and he's able to be what he was pre-injury.
I just thought that for me, and the reason I was so sure on it is that from July forward, they'd been saying, hey, week one, ready by week 1, and that hadn't faded or changed at all. So, for me, if you were saying it that earlier, that confident that early, and then there's no negative news and or positive news, or there is no negative news, but there is additional positive news, that, I'm going to believe it at that point. That was more so my buy-in.
Yeah, I'm still going to watch the snaps because they still have a good depth at receivers. You still have a very good offense in general. And while their offense took a hit last year when Kupp got hurt, they can survive it, especially early on. You don't want to risk rushing him back. But like I said, I'm still going to watch the snaps to see if anything changes. I'm more ready to buy into this than I was earlier on.
Yeah. All right. Now to the Laugh Out Loud segment.
Laugh Out Loud News of the Week.
All right. Kicking it off with Helmet Gate.
Fucking great.
So Antonio Brown found a helmet that met the 10-year requirement. A shutout advantage, the one he wanted. It was tested by the NFL and it failed. He continued then throughout the week to not practice and then eventually returned to practice and then filed a second grievance. That grievance also failed. He is now, quote, expected to pick a new helmet by the beginning of the week and practice in full.
Any other player, this wouldn't be news. This shouldn't be news anyways. Who gives it? I get it. Brown's, top 10 receiver in the league. I get it. But for fuck's sake, man.
Get your shit together.
Get your shit together, Cheryl. Just figure the fucking life out. Play if you're gonna play. Don't play because you want to cry about your helmet.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I can't wait for this to end.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And over to the Patriots. Safety Patrick Chung has been cited for cocaine possession. The incident occurred while police were investigating an alarm for a possible break-in at his residence.
Jesus,
At the end of July. So
was Chad Kelly there? Let's hope Chad Kelly was there.
Pat McAfee, I think, had the conspiracy theory that it might have been a rookie who he was competing with for playing time. But yeah, there's an alarm. They broke in, set off the alarm, and left the cocaine. So this occurred at the end of July. He will probably face league discipline at some point. It's a defensive player, so I don't really care. But I just thought it was amusing that he got busted for cocaine because his house alarm went off, which gave the police probable cause to enter. He if I had to guess, he's going to be canceling that alarm system.
That's non-death Darwin Award right there. You get busted with coke because you're too stupid to turn off.
Or you're too stupid to put it away.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for an intruder, not looking for cocaine. If you don't leave it sitting out on the coffee table, dude.
Like how cocky do you have to be? Fuck it. The cops are coming. I'm going to have some cocaine out and see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Let's do a beer review, and then we'll mock draft and send her home.
Oh, yeah.
Beer review.
All right, Dan, you've been on an unreasonable Oktoberfest kick, and I know that the listeners don't realize it, but they didn't spend 4 days with you and 3 Oktoberfest beers. So, how does it rank?
It's not as good as Sun King's, but I do like my Oktoberfest a little bit sweeter. It's definitely not a bad one. I actually enjoy it. It's true. It's true to what the traditional Marzens are. It's light. It's more of a medium to light body. I don't think I get a full body to it. It's definitely got the malt taste to it, and the finish is very, very clean. Mm-hmm. So it's your traditional to the T Oktoberfest.
Yep. All right, and I was drinking Juicy Banger IPA from Station 26 Brewing. Nice subtle bitterness throughout, very, very juicy up front. That also tends to carry throughout. It finishes a little bit malty. It is a little darker than most IPAs. Leans towards that West Coast style of juiciness, but it's not really I wouldn't consider it citrusy. It's definitely more of like a tropical juiciness almost. But very, very good. Very, very refreshing beer. Definitely worth the $3 and the pick your six for the one can. Actually, it was probably less than that. So, very, very good job with that one. Station 26 is a really drinkable IPA.
So you can say that it was a banger?
It was a banger. I will call it a banger.
Something that you turn up in your car.
Yep.
Driving by.
Blast. All right, let's get to this mock draft.
Fantasy mock draft.
You're mocking me, aren't you?
All right, for this mock draft, we are going to be using Fantasy Pros to go through this. We'll be drafting against an expert consensus in the interest of time and being able to discuss. Going to do a 12-team league, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex spot, DST, kicker, 5 bench spots. 12-team draft. First question here is, where do we want to pick from?
Randomize it and see what we get.
All right, we are picking 10th.
Of course we are.
It's because you're here.
That's completely what
cut off, and AT&T is just being... Look, AT&T sucks at everything. If you can avoid them, my recommendation would just be do it. For those of you that don't know, we record this remotely. We stream it live on YouTube. I don't edit, so that's not going to get cut out of the audio podcast or anything. But... yeah, AT&T sucks at everything, and avoid them at all cost. So, you're back, right?
I'm back.
All
I'm
right,
here.
Let's get started.
Let's go.
Assuming I can get through this.
Uh-oh.
All right. Starting off, it went Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Zeke Elliott at the 104 still. Hopkins, Adams, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Nick Chubb. So with the top, I guess, 2 wide receivers gone, I don't know how you feel about this. I would probably be looking on the running back side of things.
Yeah, I would too.
All right. So looking at running back, we've got Todd Gurley, Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, James Conner. For me, at the 110, I think, I don't know, all 4 of them are viable. I think I got to get Joe Mixon out of there because the questions around the offensive line. James Conner, Dalvin Cook. Todd Gurley would be the most surefire thing here for me.
Yeah. I mean, there's been no setbacks. I think him falling in ADP was kind of just smoke screen there. There was no reason for it to happen. Mm-hmm. I would go to Dalvin Cook, but it sounds like I think you're on board with this too. We normally would start 2 running backs at this point. Mm-hmm. You can look at receiver, and we won't jump ahead to our next pick, but I'm fine with either Cook or Gurley. It's more of a coin flip. It's whether or not we could get one of them on the way back. I don't know how you feel about James Conner, but I have him below both of them. So
I behind Cook, Gurley and Cook, I do too. So
okay.
All right, let's go Todd Gurley here.
Okay.
And go ahead and give him a draft. All right, coming back around, Connor went at the 11, Cook at the 12, Thomas at the 201, Joe Mixon went at the 2-2. So everybody we were considering has gone for running back. So
it sounds like that would have likely happened regardless. So
yeah. So basically what I'd be looking at right now if we went running back would be Kerryon Johnson and Marlon Mack would be the 2 that are left that I'd be looking at. If we're looking wide receiver and potentially going that route, Julio Jones is still there, Odell's still there, Juju's still there. And I think the pick here for me would be Juju. He's my second highest projected wide receiver as far as points go.
Yeah, he's my number 3. I agree. I'm going Juju here. It's not that I like to start running back. There's no, you should never lock yourself into
a position
drafting early on. But especially with late picks, I like to kind of figure out what my first 2 picks are going to be because you won't see a lot of craziness from that spot. It's pretty chalk on who's going to be there. But with Mixon, Cook, and Connor all gone, obviously Chubb's gone and Bell's gone, I'm a lot more comfortable taking my highest projected receiver and my wide receiver 3 in my rankings and Juju Smith-Schuster.
And that's a difference in the way that we've drafted, I think, the drafts that we've done too, because I've gone, I picked 1 from the top 4 positions and I picked 1 from the 6 where Adams and Hopkins are going, and I felt more comfortable taking Adams or Hopkins there than I did that next tier of back. And then I picked 1 from the 111 where I felt more comfortable with the wide receivers that are available. So I think it just depends on how this falls. With 10 of the first 12 picks going running back, and really 11 of the first 13, I think, first 14. I'm much more comfortable going with the wide receiver here because I think that the value is better than any other backs that are left. So
yeah, like in most of your drafts, you won't see this few receivers go. Like someone will take Mahomes or take Kelsey and that kind of skews things. But generally, you get at least 3 or 4 receivers in first round. Something that I've seen in all the redraft leagues I've done so far. So to see bunch of running backs go is a little bit shocking, but I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah. All right. After Juju, it went Odell, Julio, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, George Kittle. That's high.
Yeah.
Chris Carson at the 210, also surprisingly high. Patrick Mahomes at the 11, Ertz at the 12. Turning around to the 3rd round, Fournette, Antonio Brown, Damian Williams, both Fournette and Williams higher than some other guys I would have rather had there. Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen, Julian Edelman, Melvin Gordon, really high for a guy that's not going to play. T.Y. Hilton, Devonta Freeman. So looking at the backs that are left here, sticking out, Kerryon Johnson is still there, as is Aaron Jones and Marlon Mack. Mack,
Oh.
Carrion, and Jones are all three guys I love as potential breakout candidates. It's just a matter of, are they going to stay healthy? Because they all have the potential to be breakout candidates and potentially even crack RB1. At this point, with those three guys falling, I firmly expect them to typically go in the second round and to damn sure not have all three of them sitting there.
Yeah, this is insane because Carrion's been a typically high second, early first. Jones and Mack have been the ones that have been within this range. I was shocked to see them both be here. For me personally, it's Mack. I've always been high on Mack, even with the news we talked about, earlier on in the show. Colts offense takes a ding. Jones is likely on the best offense in general, but he's banged up with his own hamstring injury. He's always had the battle with Jamal Williams for touches. Kerryon Johnson's durability issues, but he's done an offense that wants to feature him as as that top guy. For me, it'd be between Johnson and Mack, and I would personally would lean Mack here.
Nope, I'm right there with you. I'm also going to personally lean Marlon Mack. They both had their injury history, but I think the Colts have to lean on Mack a little bit more. We're not sure how often Kerryon Johnson's going to be used there in Detroit, even though we firmly believe in his talent and his abilities. I'm a little more comfortable with Marlon Mack, though, than I am Kerryon Johnson or Aaron Jones at this point, so I'm going to go Marlon Mack.
Perfect.
All right, coming back around, Kerryon Johnson, Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, Amari Cooper went. So, a couple things here that are notable. Aaron Jones is still sitting there. It is a one flex league, but we do have our two running backs. If we're going to look wide receiver here, and those are the only positions I'm still considering at the moment. If we're looking wide receiver, Stephon Diggs, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, Chris Godwin, Golladay, Lockett, Kupp, Boyd. So we're into those wide receiver twos with upside, with really probably Diggs and Cooks being the only ones left that I have rated, I think, just outside of that wide receiver one range, and Tyler Lockett also there, but Tyler Lockett's a value pick who figures to fall a bit further. So I would probably go and try to get, especially in a start three wide receiver, two guys that I like as wide receiver ones here. And I would be looking to complement Juju with a guy like Stephon Diggs or Brandon Cooks.
Yeah. So for me, this screams Diggs, and this is not because I'm a Vikings homer, but this is because it's pure upside. You hit the nail on the head here. It's a three receiver start. Like, you have to play three. I would look running back here if it was two running backs, two receivers, but the fact that we have to play three, Diggs is the big value here, especially as a wide receiver too. You don't have to eat the risk as much, especially with Juju there. Who figures to see massive volume in Pittsburgh. So I'm going with the highest upside. He saw his really good floor. I would go Stephon Diggs here.
Yep. If I didn't already have Juju, I would have went Cooks.
Yep.
But that's because of Diggs' injury history. But he's the type that if he ever puts it all together, and when he's healthy, it traditionally is a one that I'm not going to have to rely on as my one. I'm going to have to rely on him as my two. So I'm completely comfortable with Stephon Diggs there. So coming back around from the Stephon Diggs pick, Aaron Jones went after that, followed by Josh Jacobs at the 4-5. Robert Woods, Chris Godwin. Woods and Godwin ahead of Brandon Cooks is interesting. I would not do that in any scenario.
That's insane.
It's insane how that Godwin's up that high at the 4-7. Woods, I definitely would not do that. Then you went Sony Michel, Kenny Golladay, Mark Ingram, Tyler Lockett. Love Lockett there at that 4-5 turn. I think Lockett is pretty much locked and loaded to be a back end one and take over that Doug Baldwin role. We've talked about it extensively on the show. After that, we went Cooper Kupp, AJ Green, DJ Moore, Tyler Boyd, Tevin Coleman, Miles Sanders, Allen Robinson, Deshaun Watson, Robbie Anderson. So we still need another wide receiver. We don't have quarterback or tight ends yet. At this point, talking quarterback, Aaron Rodgers and Baker Mayfield are there. Look, I'm not confident enough without an Andrew Luck there and taking anybody before probably round 6 or 7. So I'm not going to do that yet because we're only in the 5th. Would you agree with that?
I'm still not looking quarterback.
I don't even want it that high. With Ertz, Kittle, and Kelsey gone, I'm not looking tight end because the next guys behind that, Howard and Ingram, each have question marks, and Henry, each have question marks associated with them, and then you kind of get into that mess. So we're really going to be looking at running back or wide receiver here. Looking at running back, Phillip Lindsay, James White, Duke Johnson, Tariq Cohen, Latavius Murray, and Kenyon Drake, Austin Eckler. Those are the guys that are available right now. Looking wide receiver from a value standpoint, Calvin Ridley, Alshon Jeffrey, Mike Williams, Jarvis Landry, Gordon Kirk, Watkins. Wide receivers deeper. So I think I kind of want to get more in on that running back game with a Lindsay, a White, or even a Cohen or a Johnson that could potentially give you flex value, and if anything happens to Marlon Mack or Todd Gurley, plug in, not completely kill me.
There's one name that stands out, and this is, I doubt the ADP has actually changed over
Duke
from
Johnson.
It's Duke Johnson,
Yeah.
because you have to, I mean, like, upside. That's what you want here. Round 5 and beyond typically starts your upside picks, and I don't expect Johnson to be here starting anytime soon. Like I'm shocked that they haven't changed it yet.
Well, that's going to be funny because Lamar Miller was going to be the guy, and he never rose up above round 6, but Duke Johnson's probably going to be in the 4th.
Yeah, and like, it's nuts. Johnson is more, I mean, he's proven it that he is that elite pass catcher. We just haven't seen him, be the elite bell cow. At least, with Miller, we expect, like, we know what we're going to get from him. With Johnson, we know we're getting pass catching floor. Now you get that increased upside with nobody behind him at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, this is all Duke Johnson here.
Yep, it is for me too. You get the increased upside. There's nobody else behind him, and that's the biggest difference between a Phillip Lindsay, or James White, or a Tariq Cohen. There's nobody threatening Duke Johnson's work right now. So I'm going to get Duke Johnson as my running back 3. After that, Calvin Ridley, Mike Williams, Josh Gordon, Jarvis Landry went. We're back on us. I'm still not looking quarterback or tight end here. The name that jumps out to me the most is Alshon Jeffrey. He's the one in Philadelphia with Carson Wentz there. I think that Jeffrey's supremely undervalued. He's going around this position in most drafts. And I think that if you're running a starting 3 out there, Juju, Diggs, and Jeffrey, you're going to be fine most weeks.
It's funny. We wanted to do a mock draft like this because we wanted a little more disagreement in these picks, and I don't think we've disagreed at all here. Because
I mean, there was some good discussion, at least around the Marlon Mack pick and the Diggs pick and whatnot. To even if it's not disagreement, I think you just more wanted the thought process and some differentiating points of view. Because I have no real way to settle with disagreements, so I'm being a little more passive than I would normally be.
You gotta break down every situation. We don't have a timer, so we at least get to talk about why certain players are in this group, or you can kind of compare who's there. Who also is there for wide receivers outside of Alshon?
Outside of Alshon at wide receiver, you've got Christian Kirk, Sammy Watkins, Will Fuller, Curtis Samuel, Corey Davis, Marvin Jones, Dede Westbrook, and Dante Pettis. I think it's clearing away Alshon out of them.
Yeah, it's gotta be, because we have 3 wide receiver ones effectively in terms of on their team. I know you can say Thielen and Diggs will compete. They're both 1A, 1B at this point.
Yep.
So you got to take Jeffrey. Risk mitigated with him being a wide receiver 3, and it's still a very deep position that we're going to get good value later on in the draft.
Yep, we will find people there. All right. Yeah. Coming back around, Christian Kirk, O.J. Howard, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Phillip Lindsay, James White, Baker Mayfield in the 6th, which is actually lower than I think I've seen him in a long time, especially behind Rodgers and Ryan. Yeah. Evan Ingram at the 6'11", Emmanuel Sanders. Following that, into the 7th, Davis, Fuller, Henry, that's Hunter Henry, Watkins, Jared Cook, Austin Eckler, Kenyon Drake, Tariq Cohen, Vance McDonald. So looking here now, round 7, do we start looking quarterback or tight end?
With Van Stance gone, and it sounds like the rest of the tight ends, like the guys that I would target it, are gone.
There's one guy left that I really like.
It's not Ebron, is it?
No,
is it Ebron?
No, it's Hooper.
Oh, Hooper. I feel like we can still get later on.
Hooper we can get later. I've been taking Hooper in like round 8 or 9. most of the
It's been
time.
forgotten. I think his ADP is still double-digit rounds
Yeah.
per fantasy elk. So I would feel confident in waiting. I know with the loss of Jordan Reed and then with Luck retiring, that hurts in things both Doyle and Ebron. So our tight end upside in the double-digit rounds, that's kind of wavered away, but there's still guys I still like that we can draft if we miss out on Hooper. The quarterbacks, I still wouldn't look this far. There's still
So you
names
got
that
Wentz, Newton, Wilson, and Goff, Breeze, Winston, Murray, etc. are still here.
Yeah. Like if you want to talk quarterbacks at our second pick in the 8th round, or I guess it'd be third pick, sure.
Okay.
I don't need to now because there's a lot of quarterbacks I like that are still left.
So
And
it sounds like we're going to go best available then out of running back and wide receiver. Looking at the backs that are still available, the two names that jump out to me are Darius Geis and Jordan Howard. Darius Geis, obviously, as long as he's healthy, should be the starter on his team. Latavius Murray's still there, but Geis is definitely the one I would be looking at there. And looking at the wide receivers, it's Westbrook, Shepard, Samuel, Pettis, Miller, Valdez Scantling, Allison, Sutton. I mean, you're downing guys that have perceived upside, but I mean, I would consider the most surefire player here that's going to produce week in and week out and be plug and play is probably going to be Darius Geis.
Yeah, and you still get upside with Geis. I mean, we have, we take Geis here. We still have Gurley Mack and Duke Johnson. We have decent floor all around with huge upside. Obviously, Gurley's going to lead the way with that. But we have also depth pieces behind that could, cover for them when needed. Good bye week guys that we can fill in. Geis is my surefire pick here easily.
Yeah. All right. After Geis, Carson Wentz went. Kyler Murray went, which too early on Murray in the 7th round for sure. D.D. Westbrook, Curtis Samuel. So, again, Austin Hooper is my best available tight end that's still there. Cam Newton's my best available quarterback that's still there. And then if we get down to the wide receivers, it's probably Marvin Jones, Dante Pettis, and Valdez Scantling that are in consideration for me, as well as Tyrell Williams.
Okay. So I'm still not looking quarterback with Wentz gone because I'm stupid high in Wentz. So
yeah,
I would have looked at him there, especially with Joffrey. You get the
you could make
nice
an
combo.
argument late for Newton. Wilson's been staying stupid late. Goff, Winston, and Dak, who I know we all like. So
there's no need to take a quarterback at this point. We'll continue to wait. Hooper is intriguing because he's kind of the last tight end in that tier.
Yep.
That we like at this point. We just took guys. We have 4 running backs. We don't need to take one now.
Yeah, outside of Hooper, I mean, the only other guy that you're going to get probably consistent week-to-week production out of is Delaney Walker. Other guys that are left would be Njoku, Burton, Andrews, Reed, Rudolph, Ebron, Graham, Olsen, and Hawkinson.
Yeah,
but
there's no one that has the floor plus upside. Like Walker, obviously, we've seen what his upside could be. This Titans offense isn't good, and we haven't seen him play in full action in a full regular season game since his injury last year. So I wouldn't look anybody besides Cooper here for tight ends. Wide receivers, I think we could wait.
Okay.
There's nobody there that jumps out as value.
This is about the time in the draft where I would be going tight end and, starting to look quarterback to make sure I got the guys that I wanted.
Yeah. I mean, I like Pettis, but with the constant negative news, I've fallen a bit off of that. And just with how bad Garoppolo's looked, I've kind of faded that whole situation there. So I think for me, this would be Austin Hooper, and I would feel pretty good about it.
That's what I'm going to plug in. All right. After Hooper, we get another long time before we pick. So what went after Hooper at the 8 at 3, Cam Newton, Fitzgerald, Sterling Shepard, Geronimo Allison. Oof, gross on Allison at the 8-7.
Yeah.
Drew Brees at the 8-8, also gross. Again, just not the passing upside there for him to even be drafted, really, especially not in outside of double-digit rounds.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson at the 8-9, which how the mighty have fallen.
Oh,
then Jones, Latavius Murray, Jared Goff, Royce Freeman, the Bears defense, Valdez, Scantling, Pettis, Penny, Moncrief, the Rams defense. I don't understand the Rams being drafted behind the Bears like that.
Yeah. And I don't see like expert defenses or not defenses, but expert drafters drafting defenses
that early. No,
sounds-
Cortland Sutton and Kiki Kuti. So, I'm going to make the stand here for Jameis Winston. He's a 10th round ADP. We're about to come into the 10th. Him and Dak are the last two quarterbacks that I consider to have that top 12 upside for the most part, that I'm confident in. And Jameis Winston, we've made the case for him. Bad defense, great weapons. He's produced when he's been the starter. Yeah, the interceptions got to come down, but we have seen quarterbacks make it right under Bruce Arians. Winston's my guy, and I've been taking him in the 9th round just to make sure I get him in most places.
Okay, so we're picking towards the end of this pick. There's 5 picks between us. So of the two teams that are left to pick, do they both have quarterbacks?
I don't know that I have a way to look at that.
Does it not show their? Okay,
I can look at the draft board, I guess, but yeah, I can look at the draft board. Hold on.
Yeah.
The teams that there is Carson Wentz, Kyler Murray. So the two teams that are between us basically have Carson Wentz and Kyler Murray. So we could probably wait on Jameis and come back around.
So there's your one argument to point, or so there's your one scenario that you can paint is like if you know what the teams have done already, you can kind of gauge how to,
especially at the end of the draft. Yeah,
both like Winston, we both like Dak. One of them should make it back to us in these 5 picks.
Okay.
So I would hedge on either doing another receiver or running back here, probably receiver because we haven't taken more than the 3.
Okay. So if I'm going to look at wide receiver and what's available right now, you've got Anthony Miller, Deshaun Jackson, Michael Gallup, John Brown, Tyrell Williams, Golden Tate, Jamison Crowder, Washington Stills, Hamilton, blah, blah, blah. So not a whole lot of floor left here. You're going to be looking upside. And I think the 2 biggest upside players here are going to be John Brown and Tyrell Williams.
I'd throw in Michael Gallup there just with the Cooper news, but I agree with John Brown and Tyrell Williams. We've been pretty bullish on Williams. I've come up on him just given the Brown news. Like I don't know how you can.
All the Brown news, and again, Tyrell Williams is a deep ball specialist with a good deep ball quarterback. So, in a true deep ball specialist, not Martavis Bryant deep ball specialist.
I would totally take Tyrell over John Brown just because I don't like Buffalo. It's small sample size with what we saw last year with Robert Foster. Just given the deep ball game and you know how effective it could be. Brown also not a pitcher model of health. So if I'm going between those two, I would lean Tyrell. I have a man crush on Gallup, and I would consider him here.
I have a man crush on Gallup also, but my pause with Gallup is he didn't flash at all last year. He came in as a good route runner and an athletic specimen, but he didn't really flash. And even if the opportunity shares there's no guarantee that being covered as a wide receiver 1, he's going to be able to produce like that. I'm much more comfortable with Gallup as a last 2 to 3 guys on my bench stash than I am here, or with 4 bench spots left. I guess I would take Gallup in the double-digit rounds because I'm just more comfortable with that versus a guy like Tyrell Williams who we've seen do it in the past. I love Michael Gallup. Obviously, I was super high on him coming out of the draft. It's just you have to see somebody do it at the NFL level to instill that confidence, and he didn't really flash a whole lot for me last season. I think I'm more hoping for Gallup to be productive than I am sure that he's going to be somewhat productive.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I'm fine with Tyrell here too. So
we're going to go Tyrell.
Yeah.
All right. Jameis Winston came back to us. Other options would be Darrell Henderson. I'm going to say Jameis.
No, we're going to go quarterback. I'm assuming Dak got drafted then?
No, Dak didn't get drafted. Dak is well behind Jameis. Dak is like,
I thought so.
According to this, he's like 15th in ECR.
Then I go upside. I mean, I'm also stupid high in Dak, but you want Winston. We're going to, this is the point in the draft too, especially.
Like, you get your guy.
Okay to reach on your guys. It's not a bad thing. Like, you should have fun when you're playing fantasy football. Obviously you don't want to get too crazy with it, but this is a good spot for Winston. We're still in double-digit rounds. This is completely fine. I have no qualms with taking Winston here.
All right, I'm going to take Winston because there's nobody else. Also, just looking at it, there's nobody else. I mean, Daryl Henderson and Matt Breida maybe that I'm really like. Yeah, I want that guy instead of a quarterback right now. Let's just
Like,
get
if
that
there was,
position
like,
solidified.
More quarterbacks to pick from, I would make a case for Breida because I think there's upside, especially with Kyle Shanahan and what he's done with offense and the fact of what we saw last year.
Never mind. Breida went.
Okay.
He went after
Well,
the Tyrell
that
pick.
makes it even easier.
Yeah. All right. So Jameis is in.
And then I'm assuming a bunch of
There's just a bunch of meh flying right now, which is to be expected at the end of your draft. Daryl Henderson, Kareem Hunt, Deshaun Jackson, N'Keal Harry, Kalen Ballage, McCoy, Jamison Crowder, James Washington, Adrian Peterson, John Brown, Jalen Samuels, Tony Pollard, Golden Tate, Darwin Thompson, Peyton Barber, Mecole Hardman, Devin Funchess, Adam Humphries. So now we have 3 bench spots left that we're going to try to fill out. Looking at what's available at running backs, Dion Lewis, Ronald Jones, Justin Jackson, Devin Singletary, Justice Hill, Harris, Ito Smith, CJ Anderson, Nyheim Hines are what's left there.
Oof.
Looking at wide receivers, Kenny Stills, Deshaun Hamilton, Mohamed Sanu, Traquan Smith, Debo Samuel, Marquise Goodwin, who we talked about earlier in the show, Parker Campbell, Zay Jones.
God.
So, again, we're in get your guy range, right?
Yep.
I have, looking at Tyrell Williams, I would almost say, and we know that I like doing this, I like to have a floor guy on my teams. I've used Adam Humphries in the past. I used Brian Hartline way back in the day. I like to have a floor guy on my bench that if I suffer an injury, I can plug in and know there's going to be, if I don't have to hit a home run and know that I'm going to get a minimum number of points. That guy, based on target volume, the volume that jumps out to me right now is Zay Jones. I don't think we need another upside, best ball type of throw in Kenny Stills. There's nobody else, or Marquise Goodwin would fit that same mold as Stills and Hamilton or Tyrell Williams. So Zay Jones is the wide receiver I'd be looking at here.
I mean, he had 100 targets last year.
103.
He quietly put together a good season.
The other have to. Sorry, go ahead.
You have to assume that Josh Allen is going to take steps forward as a passer this year. I can hate him all I want, but Zay Jones at least was productive towards the end of last season. I'm fine with Jones here. Is there anything is there?
If there was a running back I was going to look at, it would probably be Justice Hill or Justin Jackson.
Yeah. So just for more context to the listeners out there, we have 5 drafts, or we have 5 bench spots, and we have to play at least 3 receivers a week. Mm-hmm. We drafted 4 running backs and 4 wide receivers. Is that correct?
Yep.
So far. Yep. So wide receiver is a better call here because we have to play more each week. I feel comfortable with my running backs already. Mm-hmm. Probably want to take one more. We can't waste bench spots on a quarterback or tight end with the benches this
being
low.
That short, right? You're going to scream them. So
I would go with Zay Jones amongst that group. I can make my case for Traquan just because I love Traquan. I tend to lean more on upside, even though I do like to take one floor guy. There's no true floor guy that sticks out outside of maybe Zay Jones.
Zay Jones is the only guy that I see left that has any floor. So if I want my floor guy, I'm going to make sure I get my floor guy.
He also has upside to him. He may be a little bit more touchdown dependent, but the targets have gone his way. I mean, outside of maybe Cole Beasley, who's been a monster in the first couple of preseason games in that offense. But I'm fine with Zay Jones here.
Okay. All right, Zay Jones is drafted. Dion Lewis, Justin Jackson, Mark Andrews, David Njoku went. So 2 bench spots left, as well as defense and kicker. Looking at those 2 bench spots, again, Ronald Jones is there. Peyton Barber does not have that job locked up. Justice Hill's there is a potential 3rd down back. Nyheim Hines is there, who we talked about a bit earlier in the show, the way we felt about him. Beyond that, not a whole lot that inspires confidence. CJ Anderson, Matt Alexander Madison, Mike Davis, Jamal Williams, Frank Gore.
Out of all those running backs, if we do take one here, it'd be Justice Hill for me. Now these are the guys that you're kind of expecting you're probably turning. With the small bench spot, you can't sit on players to pan out.
Right.
Like if there was more of a bench, like if we had more bench spots, I'd maybe look at other players here. But I think Hill has, the opportunity to potentially secure his third down spot earlier on than most people that's left.
Yeah.
And again, most of these guys we're going to end up dropping for those potential waiver spots. You know, if anyone gets hurt in week 1 or whatever.
Right. All right. Justice Hill's going after that. Jordan Reed, Eric Ebron, Jerick McKinnon, Jimmy Graham, Delaney Walker, Tom Brady, Trey Burton, DK Metcalf, Kirk Cousins, Naeem Hines, Devin Singletary, CJ Anderson, Damian Harris. This is round 13 now, by the way. Lamar Jackson, Alex Madison, Rex Burkhead, Ronald Jones, Carlos Hyde. So, I've been doing something a little bit differently this year. I have not been drafting my last bench spot before my defense and my kicker. And the reason is that my kicker and my defense are starting lineup pieces. If I feel strongly about something that's left there, I'm going to get my starting lineup pieces versus a guy that's going to live on my bench for a week before I go through my first round of waiver wires. So, especially with short benches. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that philosophy, but I want to get guys that I'm likely to hold and play for multiple weeks or pieces I'm likely to hold and or play for multiple weeks versus a guy that I'm immediately going to turn and burn most likely.
So for me, I get my starters, I get my high upside bench pieces, I get a couple more bench pieces, and then I start to look at my streaming defenses. I fully expect 2 or 3, 4 defenses to go earlier on because they do every single year, regardless of what type of league you're in terms of competitiveness or it being casual. So at this point, I'm looking at the first couple weeks, 2 weeks, and their defensive schedule to see what sticks out. For me, in the few defenses that I've had the draft, I tend to go Baltimore. You get the Dolphins to start off.
Dolphins, Cardinals, and then the Chiefs in week 3. There's actually a couple. Baltimore's a good one. There are a couple others when I looked at this the other day that I liked a little bit more than that.
I'm pretty sure Cleveland also sticks out. I think they get Tennessee week 1. But this is where I would start leading defenses at this point. I do agree with the shallow bench. You can't try to hit that last bench spot. We're about 2 weeks away from the start of the season, week and a half away. Typically, the closer you get, you want to start drafting your kicker. I would have no issue not drafting one and seeing if something happens, but from now until then, I don't expect a lot of news to break out that's going to, shift the needle that much for me to want to rush out and pick somebody up. So I go my defense here.
Okay.
Over kicker.
So defenses that are left, you actually have, and I like the Browns actually here. They start out Titans, Jets, Rams is not a great one, but Rams at home, Ravens, 49ers, and Seahawks into the bye week. So, I mean, that's 4 out of 5 weeks that they're serviceable with a bunch of nice pieces that I think have the potential to make them, even a defense you might be able to ride throughout the season. So I've gone Cleveland in these positions.
Yeah. And the one issue with these smaller bench spots is that it's a lot harder to roster 2 defenses because I tend to, I'll find my defense early on and then I'll kind of play with through 2 throughout the entire year because I don't want to miss out on on good matchups. Even in high scoring games, there's always potential for turnovers and defensive touchdowns to go your way to kind of offset the points that are given up. So I would go Cleveland here. That's this is going to be a good defense and good enough offense to see high points being put up and forcing teams to throw, which leads to more sacks and turnovers.
Yep, it does. All right, we went Cleveland. All right. Okay. Looking at kicker.
Justin is available. I don't care.
I know you don't. I'm gonna pump the brakes on that a little bit because of that Ravens offense. So
I mean,
I'm at
the
least
offense
gonna
is good
give it.
enough to
I'm at
move
least gonna
people.
give it an argument.
Okay, that's fine.
Maybe I don't even see kickers ranked on here. There they are.
I mean, so what you're looking for is kickers that kick in domes on high-powered teams or on offenses that can move the football but not necessarily drive it in. Which is why I'll always lean Justin Tucker because he's the highest field goal percentage kicker in the history of the NFL at this point.
I'll give it to you. I think I've gone Zerline over Tucker this year.
That's completely fine too because offense is going to be better and more opportunity to kick field goals.
That's exactly it. And California's weather is a little bit more volatile than Baltimore's.
Exactly.
But,
so there's no wrong answer for top end of the kicker. This is where you get all your deep dive out,
your deep dive kicker analysis. Jake Elliott, Harrison Butker are also two guys that I like on the kicker front. All right, for that last bench spot now, obviously it's going to be a running back or a wide receiver. We're not looking at anything else. Ida Smith is still there, as is Frank Gore, Ty Montgomery, Malcolm Brown, Jamal Williams. So I mean, Ida Smith and Frank Gore are probably the only two running backs there that still have value.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean, with owning Tom Gurley, Brown is probably the true backup to him. But small bench spot, you really can't hold on to a handcuff.
Yeah,
Tymont's look really good, but this should be Bell's job throughout. There's been reports that they're going to see a little bit more of a split earlier on as Bell gets more acclimated into this offense, and then also he missed a full season of football.
The smarter pick here, I think, is wide receiver.
Smarter pick is receiver.
Yep.
Long-winded to save receiver is probably
the better pick. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to.
Okay.
Kenny Stills, Marquise Goodwin, both upside plays. Other than that, Devontae Parker's there, Paris Campbell, Robert Foster, Randall Cobb, Taylor Gabriel, Isabella Aguilar, Trey Quinn.
So I want upside here.
I do too.
I don't care about 4 with this pick because
it's going to be turned.
We're going to drop anyways. I think Goodwin's the last starter on their team. Mm-hmm. Cobb, I don't mind, especially with the Cooper news. I mean, I like Cobb regardless because of what Cole Beasley's done in that offense with Dak Prescott. And Cobb's just going to fit right into that role.
It'd be a good one for me. We talked about him early in the show, and we talked about the why earlier in the show. So if he goes out and balls out week 1, you just got a free guy to hold on to, and if he doesn't, you turn him and burn him for a waiver claim.
Yep.
All right, that ends the draft. Fantasy Pros rated us a C-. I don't really pay too much attention to that. So again, 12 teams.
The worse the grade, the better. I feel like
12 team picking out of the 10 spot. We ended up with quarterback Jameis Winston, running back Todd Gurley, Marlon Mack, Duke Johnson, Darius Geis, Justice Hill, wide receivers Juju Smith-Schuster, Stephon Diggs, Alshon Jeffrey, Tyrell Williams, Zay Jones, Marquise Goodwin, tight end Austin Hooper, the Browns defense, and kicker Justin Tucker. And that is actually a roster that I would be happy with.
Yeah, I mean,
that spot.
Limited bench spots. We don't have the luxury to draft a backup quarterback or tight end.
If there's 7 spots, I probably am insulating those. But since there's only 5, I'm not going to do that. They'll be available on waivers. So I'm real happy with that wide receiver group that we have starting for sure. I'm comfortable that Williams or Jones or Goodwin are going to perform well enough. If we do have to plug somebody in, I'm also real comfortable having Darius Geis and Duke Johnson there to potentially fill flex spots week to week.
Yep, I completely agree.
All right. Hopefully that groundbreaking analysis has helped out some of you. We will be back again next Monday. There will be no bonus episode this week. We're going to wrap up the preseason, go over cuts on Monday, and then we'll be back on Wednesday, which will be our regular season schedule, Monday and Wednesdays, to go ahead and talk. Get you all prepped up for week 1 with your starts, your sits, your DFS picks, and all of that fun stuff. So in the meantime, if you have questions, you can find us at BeerfieldFF on Twitter. I am at HotBFF with 2 Ps. Dan, any parting words?
because preseason's fun. Pittsburgh's up 8-0, and we're about near the first quarter. Juju's already had 5 targets and scored a touchdown. So,
Nice.
boom. Let's go.
Boom. Where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ABFF with 2 Fs. Yeah.
All right, guys. We will catch you next time.
Next time. See ya.
See you Monday night. Not this upcoming Monday night, though. Like,
no.
The night after the day you're probably listening to this, the one after that.
Yes.